And we are live. It's Dr. J here on YouTube. Head over to justinhealth.com/YouTube to subscribe. If you guys are enjoying the live Q&A sessions, put your comments down below. Let me know what is going on, what's on your mind, and what y'all want to chat about. All right, let me pull up some questions here. Let me dive right in. Usama writes in, if our microbiome diversity is too much low after using many antibiotics, so too low, and bad bacteria from biofilms and reinfections occur again and again and again after using natural antimicrobials, what do we do? So number one, you have to figure out why you were using antibiotics in the first place and fix that. So if you're getting lots of different infections, we got to work on fixing your immune system so you can be stronger and not need the antibiotics as much in the future. Number two, fix your diet. So if there's bad bacteria or dysbiosis or yeast overgrowth, or we're eating a lot of inflammatory foods, that we correct that. Number three, we want to work on any infections or SIBO or fungal overgrowth or bacterial overgrowth that's still hanging out and knock that down. Then we want to work on adding in healthy beneficial bacteria and prebiotic fibers to help some of that bacteria hang out a little bit longer, and of course get some good healthy foods and vegetables in your body as well, so you can start to improve that microbiome diversity. Great question. Probiotic supplements are not enough. Yes, they are not enough. You have to really change your diet. You have to really knock out the infectious debris like I mentioned. And how to eradicate biofilms. So in eradicating biofilms, a lot of times the herbs we're going to use to knock down some of the dead, the bad bacteria or some of the infectious debris are going to have natural anti-biofilm properties to them. We'll also throw in things like ginger. So like my ginger tea recipe is commonly recommended to patients. Why? Well, if you go to PubMed and type in ginger, ginger has like amazing amount of biofilm buster properties. Also, silver is really good for biofilms. They're even using silver in emergency rooms and ERs now. Definitely in the OR, I should say, with surgeries, they're wrapping up total joint, total hip, total knee in like a silver cellophane because they find that less MRSA and methicillin-resistant staph is occurring as a byproduct. Excellent. I think we hit a lot of those questions. That they get the same question like 5 times, so once is enough there. Do you recommend long-term use of L-glutamine to heal leaky gut and to keep it sealed? Well, L-glutamine is a nice healing amino acid, right? You could also throw in glycine as well, right? Collagen's great because it's going to have hydroxyproline, proline. It'll have beta-alanine in there. So any kind of like free-form amino acid, whether it's glutamine or glycine, going to be very, very helpful. Of course, bone broth is going to be very good as well. All these things are excellent. Could you also add in things like ginger tea or ginger kombucha? Really good anti-inflammatory qualities. Could you throw in aloe or slippery elm? Yeah, those are all really good things. Very palliative. It's not going to fix the underlying issue if there is an infection or inflammation from food, but it can kind of calm things down. As long as your kind of mind's eye is focused on the root cause of why your gut's inflamed to begin with, you'll be okay. One of my symptoms is transient petechia. Have you seen that in SIBO or SIFO? I think petechia is when you have like the little spots. It's like little kind of purpley, blistery spots. Just want to double check that. Petechia. Yeah, so up here, red, brown, or purpley clusters on the face. Let me just take a look at it real fast. Man, come on, Google. Yeah, so kind of like blistery little dots or little pustules almost. Not quite pustules. Okay, then your questions about that is, okay. So yeah, anytime you have something with the skin, we always look at the gut, right? Number one, all the nutrients and the fatty acid and cholesterol building blocks that make the skin, they all come from the gut, meaning we're absorbing them there, number one. Number two is if you have stress or inflammation or an immune reaction from the foods or gut permeability, it's going to manifest in the skin, partly because the skin is the integumentary system. It's going to be part of the detoxification where your body will push things out. And a lot of these skin rashes too, they're finding more and more of them are like autoimmune. Like for the longest time, like eczema wasn't thought to be autoimmune. That is now. Rosacea, autoimmune. Psoriasis, autoimmune. So I wouldn't be surprised if petechia is actually autoimmune as well. Let me see. Let's see. Petechia, autoimmune. Yep, they're finding it when autoantibodies of platelets and thrombocytopenia occur, you can develop these small hemorrhage spots called petechia. Yep, so they're seeing it with various platelet antibodies and thrombocytopenia antibodies. Yep, so look at that. Petechia is now starting to become more associated with autoimmunity. There you go. Probably like lupus, kind of vasculitis kind of things. Good to know. All right, let me keep on rolling here. Good afternoon, Dr. J. If one's testosterone therapy dosage is a little too high, could it have negative effects on the adrenals? Maybe on the adrenals. I mean, it's going to cause increased aromatase a lot of times, and you're going to see more estrogen come about. Not to mention, you'll just get the receptor sites to kind of down-regulate. So then the high amount of testosterone won't feel like a high amount. That's why you're always kind of, my general recommendation with hormones, especially testosterone, is try to get your levels kind of mid to upper 25% of the range. That's pretty good. Some people, they'll take testosterone over longer periods of time. So it's kind of like the crescendo effect. So you have to arc it up. Here's your testosterone day one. You arc it up. So, mid by, a week or so in, you're good. And then you kind of drop down. So the problem is most of the time you're kind of in this low range here. So I'd much rather do testosterone therapy. If you're going to do it more frequently. Daily would probably be ideal. Worst case, weekly, but definitely daily to weekly is more ideal than, doing it like once a month or once every couple of weeks. How long should one, let me see, I got a couple messages where, how do you rule out if a constant cough is due to candida, bacteria, or a parasite, lots of mucus, no pneumonia, no cancer on x-rays? So it's hard to say. I mean, it could be a postnasal drip. It could be a lot of things. So when I work with patients, we're making food changes, we're checking in. We're supporting digestion, we're checking in. We're supporting hormones, we're checking in. We're doing gut killing, we're checking in. And so each time we check in, we get information about how you're improving, what's working, what's not, and then from there we can kind of deduce. It's impossible just me talking to someone over the internet, laying everything out big picture to be like, hey, this is caused by this. It's impossible. So you'd have to work with a clinician that is, using deductive reasoning of what they're doing, and they have a systematic approach, and then you check in, and then that's going to be the best way to establish what's helping on that side of the front. Hope that makes sense. How long should one take L-glutamine or bone broth? Forever? I mean, you totally can take it forever. That's totally fine. Really good, safe nutrients. It's like, how long should one have protein or fat forever? Of course, forever is fine. Yep, they're all essential nutrients. Okay, let me just see here. Okay. Okay, hold on, guys. I got a lot of spam in here. All right, advice on a lipoma, ACV. You gave seems to be helping slowly. Is there anything else that would help? Yeah, so I've had a couple of patients that had some lipomas and they went away with just diet changes, getting the inflammation down via the food, getting the insulin down via food. Insulin is going to be what drives a lot of growth, so getting that down is going to make a really, really, really big difference. All right, excellent. That's really important. It makes a big, big difference. Okay, excellent. Let me keep on rolling, guys. I had a little spammer I had to kick out of my little room here. He's gone. Perfect. And then apple cider vinegar for lipomas are really helpful. You can get just like a little cotton swab and a cotton ball, kind of saturate it in ACV, and then you could put it on your lipoma, and then you can bandage it to that area, leave it for a couple, for while you sleep, and then you wake up and you'll see some significant improvement, and change your diet too. Is it bad to have a small amount of coffee every day? No, I don't have a problem with coffee as long as you don't feel bad after it and you're not doing it after the noontime hour where it's affecting your sleep. And as long as it's not like enhancing or making any anxiety worse, the depression worse, just make sure the quality of coffee is high, right? Organic, good, clean coffee is going to be important. Ideally, no mycotoxins, all that's going to be really important. Good. I paint houses and apartments, and I constantly absorb and ingest numerous chemicals and toxins on a daily basis. I was curious what I could do to decrease or stop absorbing most of these. So number one, if you have the ability, definitely choose a paint that's going to be a low VOC. That's going to be ideal. I think it's, what's the company called? It's called Aroma. Evan Brand used the paint for his house. It's called Aroma something, but they're a paint company that has no toxins in their paint. So if you are, going to be using a lot of paints with VOCs, you may want to look at using some kind of a mask during the day. If you can switch to a low VOC, that's better. Definitely take activated charcoal and glutathione every single day. I'd be doing activated charcoal. I'd be doing glutathione, maybe even some extra antioxidants like vitamin C. I'd be doing that every single day, just to decrease my, my body's ability to kind of excrete it so I don't holding on to any toxins. And I would definitely have a mask if I'm spraying or if I am involved in a lot of high VOC paint. Dr. J, occasionally I get weird energy drops, yawns, and slightly poor coordination from 15 to 30 minutes, and I digested protein-rich meals 1 to 2 hours after a meal. Glucose drop, how to deal with the without carb top-up. So it depends. If you're having a hard time breaking the meal down, it could be part of it. Are you eating too much at the meal? Typically, you're going to have energy drops after a meal from, number one, just too big of a meal, right? Even if it's good food, just too much. Number two, typically too much carbohydrates. It could also be you went too long between meals and now you overate as well, and that caused a blood sugar drop. It's very possible. Keep that in the back of your head. When your body goes into lipogenesis, like fat storing, especially with too much carbs, it's very energy intensive, and you can also kind of create a blood sugar roller coaster ride, which could possibly cause it. I've had high zonulin levels in the guts. Went carnivore, made it worse. Went vegetarian, completely back to normal. Do you think it's the meat or the protein or something in the proteins? So I've had high zonulin levels. So zonulin's going to mean more leaky gut. So more leaky gut levels in the gut test. Went carnivore, it made it worse. Vegetarian, completely back to normal. Do you think it's the meat or the protein? Okay, so number one is when your zonulin went higher and you were eating more meat, did you feel worse? Did you feel better when you went more vegetarian? Or are we just talking about lab markers with no symptom change in between? Because I always want to correlate symptoms and not just labs. Because usually we want to see the symptoms and the lab markers kind of correlate, number one. Number two, do you have digestive issues to begin with? Because obviously if you're eating more protein and fat, that's going to expose weak digestion. And then number three is, do you have any infections? Because if there's infections present, that may make it harder for your gut to heal. So you have to make sure all those things are lined up together. Third day of the flu, plenty of fluids and passed out at hospital. Saline IV made everything better. What could be causing the fainting? Yeah, if the saline IV made it better, it's the minerals, right? So the minerals are going to be affecting your blood pressure more than likely, and just kind of how your cells and everything communicate. So yeah, IV is ideal, especially if you can't hold anything down. Ideally, bone broth, high quality mineral water. If you can add in some extra potassium and magnesium powder, that's going to be great. But if you can't hold it down because you're puking things up, then IV is going to be ideal. But I would get some bone broth in. I'd maybe have some avocados or just some good potassium and magnesium mineral support to kind of help bring those minerals back up. You're welcome. Glad you guys appreciate the advice. Mr. Mysterious writes, Dr. J, my white and red blood cell counts on the lower side of the reference range. Been like this for years. Any suggestion on boosting them up? Well, if it's red blood cell count, the first thing is, do you have low iron? So what's happening with the iron? And if your iron's low, why is it low? Do you not eat meat? Are you vegan, vegetarian? Do you have poor digestion? Hard to say what's going on there. Need a lot more info. Esoteric wrote in, super healthy already, just listening for fun. Glad that you are enjoying it. Excellent. Source Freezy, Justin, can you go into depth on how you fix the adrenals? So number one is you have to look at the emotional stressors. Is there any stressors regarding your life, work, family, relationships, money? Do your best to at least address or stabilize those. Number two, look at the physical stress. Are you over-exercising, right? Don't over-exercise. Make sure your exercise makes you feel better. And number three is look at the chemical stressors. This is where we'll actually test the adrenals. This is where we'll look at diet. We'll look at inflammation. We'll look at digestion. We'll look at infections. We'll look at nutrients. And then we take all that information and we create a comprehensive plan that addresses all of it, from diet to digestion to hormones to gut to detox to nutrients to mitochondria. So it's a very systematic way so nothing is missed. But work on the emotional stuff, the physical stuff, make sure those are lined up, and then get everything else kind of lined up. Hope that makes sense. All right, cool. See any questions here from Instagram? I think I got a couple. Justin, can you go into depth how to fix the adrenals? I did that. I think I just did. Oh, now how do I fix it supplement-wise? So we'll use different bioidentical hormones, precursor hormones. We'll use certain nutrients, whether it's B vitamins, glandular tissue, adaptogenic herbs. Sometimes I'll even use, just trying to think what else, of course, different nutrients. And then, of course, fixing the digestive system can help the adrenals. Knocking out infections can help the adrenals. So there's things that we do to help the adrenals directly, and there are things we use to help the adrenals indirectly. So you're probably thinking more of the direct stuff, but all the indirect stuff also helps. Let's see if anything else here. I think I hit all those questions. Perfect. All right, a couple more here. Lack of minerals with the flu. I've been putting in extra electrolytes. Potassium may not be enough. Sodium to balance out. It may have caused the fainting. Yeah, I mean, they're going to probably run a comprehensive metabolic panel on you. So they'll run that and they'll see. So whatever they put in that IV is what you're missing. So, I mean, if it's minerals like, do Redmond's real salt, put it in water, right? Do bone broth. Do some Pellegrino or Topo Chico mineral water. Like, get all those extra minerals, and that's going to make a really, really big difference. All right, cool. So you eat lots of meat 3 times a day, and iron levels are good. Well, I mean, what about ferritin? What about iron saturation? If your red blood cells are low, there's got to be some level of low iron. So you're not getting good information on that, or you need to dive in deeper. And there could be a gut issue or a malabsorption issue. Again, not enough information. It's like, I need this much, and I'm getting like a little peephole worth. So not enough to give you good info on that. Evolution writes in, thanks. Hard to gauge overeating with intermittent fasting, 2 meals in a 4 to 6 hour range. Any tips on having enough food to not need more food but not overdo it? Yeah, so if you're getting tired after a big meal with intermittent fasting, probably a 16-hour window of fasting, that makes sense. You're probably just doing so much to compensate for the lack of calories and nutrition that you've had all day. So that makes sense why you'd be getting tired like that. That's the problem with intermittent fasting, is you're going to have to eat meals that are probably 2 times as big as you normally eat. That's the biggest problem with it. If you have poor digestion, well, now you're eating a meal that's twice as big as you normally eat. And then number 2, that may cause you to be a little bit tired. It's possible. You can always just make sure you're not overdoing it with the carbs or anything else. But outside of that, that's the problem with intermittent fasting. Maybe just go and do a 16/8 and try to have 3 meals in there, so they're a little smaller. Excellent. All right, hope that helps y'all. I'm going to go grab some lunch here. Hope you guys are having a good day and enjoyed the session. I'll try to be back tomorrow in between patients. You guys have a good one. Take care, y'all. Comments down below. Peace.